Welcome to this latest episode of our iCore CIO Roundtables. I'm Greg Lake, the chairman of iCore, and normally I'd have 2 or 3 CIOs around this virtual coffee table. However, today we wanted to do things a little differently. Wanted to go more in depth on today's topic with just one CIO, someone who I believe you'll find interesting in general, but especially on this topic. We're going to discuss artificial intelligence in IT service delivery and how to use it. And it's one of those things that I believe people are nervous about, but very interested in. At this point, let me introduce my guest for today, Ed Hutt. Ed is the CIO of the Impellam Group. Impellam is a connected group offering workforce and STEM talent solutions, working in 80 countries, I believe, covering the UK, North America, Australasia, Europe and the Middle East. Prior to his role at Impellam, Ed has been CIO at several organisations, including Capita Customer Management, Fitness First, WM Morrison's Supermarkets, and others. To say he's vastly experienced is a bit of an understatement. Welcome, Ed. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Great. Nice to see you. Nice to be here in a physical office for a change rather than working remotely. But I've bundled most of my IT team in the north into the Leeds office today. And the topic we're going to be discussing for most of the day is artificial intelligence. And in what I do, you know, I tend to be slightly more at the extreme of change and transformation and moving the businesses forward. And all I'm doing at the moment is around AI. Because it is, when I meet with my brother and sister CIOs from other businesses, both in the recruitment sector and across sectors, it's almost the only topic of conversation at the moment. So if you're not doing it, there's something going a bit awry. And if you're a supplier to me and a lot of the other CIOs, and you're saying, oh, we're not going to do that, I rather fear you might be finding new customers soon.
That is interesting because, you know, as I talk to people around our client base, there are some are definitely getting involved in it, often at early stages. There are some who are kind of waiting to see what other people do before investing too. And I guess there are some who are a little bit scared of it. I'm guessing you're not scared of it. I mean, where do you stand with AI and particularly in its use in IT service delivery?
Well, on that scale of scared and not scared, I'm not scared. I see the opportunity. AI has been around for decades. It has been around in more detail and with more complexity, probably for 23 years. It's been relatively active over 10. And I think a week before St. Valentine's Day last year, it hit the press, and that's where it's stayed ever since, with the release of ChatGPT into the world, and then the subsequent upgrade to ChatGPT 4, which underpins so much. I think one of the reasons why people have been scared of it, well, let's say over the last year, just for the sake of easy money, is because of the money. Because actually, the likes of Microsoft, when they released it as Copilot, as a one way of doing things, said, yeah, but you've got to buy a minimum of 300, and that's going to cost you X for the year. Whereas at the beginning of this year, because quite a lot of us complained vociferously to Microsoft and said, look, we're not going to do an initial pilot with 300 for a year. I want to do it for a limited time. So because my agreement terminates at the end of March, and that's when I renew, I said, I want it co-termed to them. And they said, yeah, that's in the rules. So I got a 2-month pilot. I got it on a single SKU unit, and I got 50 for the sake of carrying out a pilot. We had 110 use cases. We reconciled down to about 46, which we then reconciled down to we've probably got 15 or 20 active at the moment. And it's costing me £1.34 a day. I've got for the program period of this trial, it's costing £67 a week, and I am currently delivering 50 times return on investment on the cost.
Well, that's not bad, is it?
Well, and that's productivity, and it's delivering profit. A limited period into a trial, and I've already identified items that are hard profit, and I take that to the CFO on his pewter platter and present it to him on a very soft cushion and go, there you go. We're making money from this, and never mind the productivity, which is doing even more. I mean, for us, And I think across the market, productivity is everything. And of course, bringing it back to your original question in IT services, that's all about productivity. How can we be more productive, create more, do more, quicker time, deliver better service to colleagues? If we're working externally, deliver better service to customers. But productivity, productivity, productivity.
Absolutely. Let's go back, because it's quite interesting. You said you had, I think, 120 use cases.
Yeah.
And where did they come from? And how did you decide which ones you were going to progress with?
Well, they came from the people. So in Q4, we went out to the whole company and we did a series of briefings to everybody. Everybody was invited. I think most people came to at least one. Some came to 2 or 3 and said, gosh, this sounds like the one I came to before, but the jokes were different. Well, yeah, the jokes are different, but it was the same briefing. You should have only gone to one. And we briefed everybody and we said, look, if you have got a situation, having explained what you could do that you think would work for you as an individual, then take a ticket from the service management system, fill it in. It's very simple. Title of subject. I want to use it for this. Brief description of what it is. 1 paragraph will do me. And if you've got any other numbers or anything brilliant, hand it over, press send, and it pops straight into the service management system. Then the head of service management for the world pressed the printer and off they came. We had 110. So some of the cases were actually the same, hence the reconciliation. Right. 110 became 46 because a load of people said the same thing in different ways. And there's a way of crowdsourcing from a company. This was an investment of everybody spent 30 minutes with me, although not necessarily one-to-one. I spent probably 4 hours with everybody, but not one-to-one. Total investment, 4 hours, let's call it 4 hours and 30 minutes in total, because everyone's doing stuff at the same time. For most people, it's half an hour. As a consequence of that, I get a load of use cases. We then looked at the use cases. We reconciled them down to the 46. We took out a couple more that just said, can I have access to ChatGTP? No, that's blocked by Zscaler. Nor can you have access to anything else. I wish to protect the company's data. And from that, we just went through it and said, okay, look, I've got 50 licenses for trial. I've got 46 use cases. You suggested 5, well done. You suggested 2. There you go, you have a license. It's going to cost you £1.34 a day, which I'll pay for. All I need is you to give me the data to show me how you are getting £1.34 minimum a day of value. And all you need to do is tell me how many minutes or hours you save doing certain tasks. So, Teams recorded the meeting, gave me all that action notes, all the minutes of the meeting, all the questions we should ask, all the questions we didn't ask, and a range of other prompts. Or, yesterday I wrote a business case. This is a board paper for the PLC board for the renewal of my Microsoft EA. And ordinarily, that's probably take me the best part of the day. By the time I've gone around, 28 minutes.
Yeah, brilliant.
28 minutes. So I saved nearly a day. And then, based on the saving over the course of a week, we then multiply that by a rates card. So all I've done is just gone, you earn 10 grand, 20 grand, 30 grand, 40 grand, and so on. And I just go, great, you're in that rate band. So if you say you saved an hour, that's 60 minutes times £1.31 a minute or something. And that's my savings. And then I stick it in a big spreadsheet. And at the end of the week, I go, bloody hell, last week we saved 55 times the cost.
And you get that cushion and present it to the CFO. Is that the...
Yes. And he goes, that's not good enough. I want...
So we're having got these initiatives from the people themselves, which is brilliant. Because I'm not sure everybody trusts their staff to do that, by the way, but that's a different matter. That's down to individuals. Did you form it into a project? Was it kind of do it off the side of people's desks? How did that part of it go?
Well, people from the initial briefings submitted use cases. Some other people, when they heard we were doing it, say, look, I'd really like to be part of it. So what I've gone for are broadly 50 enthusiasts, or 49 enthusiasts and me, where I'm a total evangelist, on the basis that if you're an enthusiast or an evangelist, you are more likely to deliver positive return from what you do. And you will embrace it and do it. And then, some people, when people join up, they get, from me a welcome email that says all pre-canned, tells them what to do. Can you follow 5 simple instructions? Yes or no? well, okay, let's assume 25% of people can't, but that's not unusual. And then people are saying, I've got a bit of a problem. Okay, look, really want this to work, very invested in it. I'll arrange to have a chat with them. I said, 15 minutes will do. And I take them through the instructions that they didn't follow in 15 minutes and answer the questions. And at the end of it, they're walking away going, right, I got it. I can do Outlook, I can do Teams, I can do all the Microsoft products from Access, from Excel and PowerPoint and Word. And I've learned some useful tips about I've got to store everything in Impellam OneDrive. And I, when I want to find something to embed it in a document that's a summary that I then want Copilot to work on, I need to go to the OneDrive place, and I didn't know it was there before, and I just need to go copy the link, pop it in the document, and give it 30 seconds. Remember, the 30 seconds just takes a bit of time to replicate, and then Bob's your uncle, there it is. So like I say, I've done 3 board papers in a week, which would normally be the best part of a week's work, probably. It's an hour and a half, and literally somebody will now go, oh, well, I'm not sure what to do. There you go. There's your start with 10. This is improving
fantastic.
Our productivity.
Yeah, absolutely. And
just for fun, for fun, I grossed up the 50 people in the trial and said, okay, let me just assume I got 200 people now from the 1st of April using Copilot as part of my EA. Just 200, not everybody, just 200. Based on what I've got so far, so that number of people multiplied by that saving, multiplied by 200, I'm going, that's like over 2 million on productivity. 2 million of productivity. Bear in mind, if you're in the services sector, we especially are, we have 2 costs. Because IT is not a cost, it's a benefit. We've got 2 costs, buildings and people. And if you can improve productivity to that level, you then find work that you would otherwise pass out to a third-party provider. People go, well, look, I've done it. I've done my work in time. I can do it myself now. And this is where my profit's starting to come from. So within 3 weeks, I'm delivering profit on the basis of I no longer need third-party B to do work. I can do it in-house with existing resources.
Perfect. Now that is amazing, and I can see why you're evangelical about it. So specifically in IT service delivery, can you give me an example of where you've used AI and maybe one of the use cases that was in that area?
Yeah, I mean, what we're obviously that whole trial is based around Microsoft Copilot, which is great for the general population. We think that will cover 80% of the use cases we will get. What we're now doing in a bit more detail is building out specific use cases within our service management system, which is Freshworks, Freshdesk, so that we can therefore automate service management requests, for instance. So one of the first things we're doing, and we're building at the moment, is when somebody puts in a ticket, rather than just being a ticket that says it doesn't work. By the way, you'd be surprising how many people put that on tickets.
I'm not surprised at all.
So instead of that, it kind of goes, okay, so how can I help you? Well, sure. I mean, okay, it's not working. Well, what's not working? I need more information. What's more working? So it gets into the whole chat sequence. Okay, so what's the problem, Mike? Well, my PC's not working. Okay, when you say it's not working, you mean you haven't switched it on? No, I switched it on. It's a blue screen. So when you switched it on, was it always a blue screen? Did you ever get a log on? No, blue screen of death. Thank you. We've got the answer. Right. What do we need to do to fix this? So either it's a direct self-help thing unique to Greg, because Greg has given me this set of data based on our service management knowledge base of our relatively simplified systems now. That's one of the great things that we've done the last 4 years. Everything's broadly the same. Everything's very simple. There's very little variation on a theme. And therefore, hopefully the user can self-help. So it might be, well, I can't get my Microsoft Copilot to work in Word. Okay, Greg, have you done the renew my license thing on the bottom of the blue strip? No, I haven't. How do I do that? Well, click File, go to Word, click File, blue strip down the left-hand side. At the bottom, it says Update License. Click that. Oh, great. It's asking me for my login. Yeah, put your normal login. So greg.lake@impellam.com. Welcome to the company, by the way, and so on and so forth. So there's a very simple example of service management. So I don't need a service desk of this. I can probably just get down to the stuff the machine can't help you with.
Yeah, and that's brilliant. And thank you for the job, by the way. How much am I getting paid?
Well, you're paying us.
Oh, okay, that'll do. I guess when I was listening, and we've had this similar conversation before, in that example, part of it sounds like self-help that's been there for ages. Part of it sounds like more automation than use of AI. But I think there's a nuance in there that I'd just like to explore of guiding people a little more. Is that fair? You're
Yes.
using AI to guide a bit more.
Yeah. Well, and also it's probably more interactive. And at what point does automation end and AI begin, or does it actually overlap, or is it like a horseshoe that the two, when you get there, are very similar? But my proposition to everybody is that automation has an endpoint because it cannot evolve beyond what it's been taught to do or it's been instructed to do, which is essentially what it is. It's a series of instructions. RPA, read the invoice. If crumpled, read it a certain way. Do this, do that, do the other. AI is then making decisions based on what it receives, not necessarily just on the basis of what it's got in its instruction set. And it has the ability to learn through machine learning. So it's constantly learning the voice of the company because we speak a certain language in the company. The Bradford and Bingley speaks a slightly different language. Morrison spoke a slightly different language. Fitness First had a different. It's the use of words and terminology and what it means, and that's the bit. So when somebody says things with certain trigger words, the AI component with its machine learning underneath it is starting to learn the things that matter to the company. So if it was talking to me, I'd rabbit on continually about productivity and profit. And if Ed says profit 5 times in a sentence, it's usually quite important. If he talks about other things, oh, it's less important. Well, you're right, it is. But then again, we've done the same thing in IT, just with our people. And I start to see this more as a sort of neural network. It's almost where AI becomes a person because it has not quite sentient ability, but it's got the ability to evolve from what we initially taught it.
Absolutely. And I think that, and you're quite right, automation AI, where's the line between the two? Actually, they're both parts of the same equation. Maybe that shape that you were making there is perfectly right, but I think that makes sense. So where do you see this going next? You're quite a long way through a journey now. What next?
Au contraire, Blackadder, I think that we are very much at the beginning of a journey which probably launched for the world's IT population just at the point we needed it. That was because there was very little money sloshing around because of the end of cheap capital, because the interest rates are all going up. And just at the point when there's very little money around to spend on technology, a low-cost, absolute bargain concept appears. You do that today. If the CFO says to me, "What should we spend money on? An HR system, a finance system, or AI?" AI. Forget the rest. No one's going to check. No one's going to do that anymore. It's too expensive. Certainly not in the near term. So let's spend money on the things that will give us an immediate profit and productivity return. And I think the way this will go is everybody now is building AI components for their systems, and a lot of them are underpinning it on Microsoft ChatGPT or Open AI, or on Google Bard, or NVIDIA will get in. And then all the other people providing large language models, anybody with a large language model of their own will start dropping it and just going, what I need is a secure way of using one of the big LLMs where it's a one-way diode, where my data stays with me, but I can use all the rest of the data to train my model. So it learns my language, it doesn't give my data away. I protect the company, which is again one of our fundamental roles, under GDPR and every other local regulation that occurs around the world, one-way diode. And from that, I think every one of our suppliers either has got or will be building or introducing AI components into their sales system, core operational systems, finance systems, HR systems, etc., as indeed they are all doing. And either they are building their own large language model, brackets limited situation, or more likely they are using one of the large language models available and going, all I'm doing, for instance, is calling Azure AI services from my insert name of application. It's going off, doing the activity, bringing it back through the API, and there you go. And what you've got then is this kind of application hedgehog that's sitting there with all these spikes going off now, calling ChatGPT, Bard, something else, NVIDIA, where it suits it to get whatever results it's looking for in the best way with the best outcomes at the right price point, and bringing it back and going, there you go, look at my application. And as a result of that, I think the CRM, operational systems, finance systems, HR systems, etc. of the world have suddenly found a new lease of life, because all of the vendors will now be selling that hedgehog concept and charging handsomely for the use of something you could do yourself in one of these products, like Azure AI services, but you haven't got time to, or actually they know more about it than you when you bought that because it's quicker and cheaper than you doing it. So that's where I see this evolving over the next at least 3 to 5 years.
Fantastic. Ed, that was brilliant. We could carry on for a long time, I know. But I want to get you back to your teams and talking AI for the rest of the day, because that's important. Thank you very much to everyone else who's going to listen to this in the future. Thank you for getting involved. I'm sure that if you've got any questions, please let ICOR know. If there's anything for Ed, we can always pass that on. But thank you for your time. And at that point, we look forward to more conversations in the future.